Hello, everyone. Thank you, Andrea, for helping us today with this event. Great. It's great to see you all here. My name is Crawford Gribben. I'm a professor of early modern British and Irish history in the School of History, Anthropology, Philosophy and Politics here at Queen's University Belfast. I'm joined today by my colleague, Professor Alwyn Purdue. Among her very many achievements, Alwyn is also president of the International Federation for Public History. So if you want to come to Queen's to do public history, there is literally no one in the world more elevated to work with than Alwyn. So cheers to Alwyn. Andrea, if we could move to the next slide, that'll be it. Now, in the school, my role is Director of Graduate Studies, and as Director of Graduate Studies, I look across all of the MA programs that we have, and among the ones I'm most excited about is the MA in History. The MA in History is a program which begins in September and runs through in 2 semesters, one in the autumn and one in the spring. We have a Christmas break, a winter break, we have an Easter break, a spring break, and we have a couple of extra teaching weeks after spring. So it's quite a compressed MA. Those of you who are joining from America might notice that this is a 1-year MA as opposed to a 2-year MA that you might be more familiar with in the American system. We work quite hard here. We work quite intensively. We enjoy our work. Our student body for the MA History is a very international body. In the last couple of years, we've had students from McGill, Princeton, all over North America, smaller liberal arts colleges as well. We also regularly have students coming from across Scotland and England, and we have lots of local students as well. So it's a very mixed body, and there's a lot of fun. The student body numbers typically around 30, so it's quite a large group comparatively when considered in a UK or Irish context. We are, of course, one of the biggest history departments on the island of Ireland. We have some particular strengths, which I'll talk about in due course, but I'll just highlight now that if you're interested in Irish history, there is no bigger department of Irish history on the island of Ireland. So there's an amazing amount of skills, resource, knowledge, archival experience here that you can take advantage of. Andrea, if we can move to the next slide, please. Now, here's a glimpse of our campus. I think some of the people who are here today have been on campus before. Some I know are graduates of Queen's. And here's a view that you'll recognise there. Directly ahead of you in the distance is the building in which the history department is housed, that row of buildings there in University Square. To the left there, you'll see a church-like building. That's our graduate school. And then to the right, the much more modern building in the right in the foreground, that in the bottom is the cafe that we like to frequent. Upstairs is the School of Law. So that's the vista that you'll be travelling backwards and forwards from your classes into the coffee shop and into some of the teaching rooms that are held between these 3 buildings. The graduate school is normally reserved for PhD students. We do host quite a lot of MA events in the graduate school as well. So you'll have a chance to walk in there. It's been recently refurbished, and it's a genuinely beautiful building. It's shaped like a chapel. When Queen's was established in 1845, Alwyn can correct me, when Queen's was established in 1845, it was established as a non-denominational college, and its door was open to all. And as a consequence, it didn't have a chapel, but very quickly they realised if it was to look like a university, it needed a chapel. So they built a building that looked like a chapel and turned it into a library. And that, I think, for all of us, is a very appropriate decision. Knowledge, books, sacred places, they do seem to come together sometimes in very fitting ways. So that's the vista, that's the campus, that's the spot on the campus you'll spend most time in, walking to and fro, classes, coffee shop, workshops, and then down into the library as well. Teaching takes place in person, or just in the last slide there, Andrea. Teaching takes place in person, and our classes are always held in the afternoon. Our earliest class begins at midday. Our last class finishes at 6 p.m. And that allows you to have a part-time job if your visa allows for that, or if you're a local person, a UK or Irish person, and you can take up some part-time work that will help fund your studies and give you potentially lots of other exciting opportunities as well. Alwyn, in a little while, will speak about internships or work placements, which we're very keen that as many of our students do as possible. And the timetable of the master's degree is designed to allow you flexibility and free time to take up those kinds of opportunities. Thank you, Andrea. Now you'll see here an overview of the curriculum. We have 2 semesters, as I mentioned, an autumn semester and a spring semester. In each of those semesters, you take 3 modules, 3 courses, if you like, or 3 modules. In the autumn semester on the MA History, there are 2 core modules. So these are modules that you must take. The first of these is called the Historian's Craft. And the reason we make this a core module is because the Historian's Craft teaches you the most important skills about becoming an historian. It teaches you how to present your work. It teaches you how to think about archives. It teaches you how to read and write book reviews or article reviews. So it's full of really important and basic information about being an historian. We also teach a core module called Approaches to History. History is not just about doing stuff. It's also about thinking theoretically and analytically. And Approaches to History is a module that encourages you to do that. In Approaches to History, you will meet almost every historian working in the department. They'll be speaking to you about theories or approaches to history that they find valuable in their own work. And you'll have a chance over 2 weeks, because of the way that the module is designed, first to hear from them and then to talk with them, to engage with them about their own research, about their field of study, but more importantly for you, not just about their field of study, about their approach to their field of study. What methods do they find helpful? What theories do they find enriching? Those are the kinds of questions we look at in Approaches to History. And then the third thing that you do in the autumn semester is an optional module. One of the optional modules here is a module called Belfast, Place, Identity and Memory in a Contested City. Now, if you're coming from overseas, for example, or indeed if you're a local person that wants to think more critically and carefully about your hometown, this is a module that will help you do that. It's a module designed to introduce you to a city that was once known as the Athens of the North, but a history which you'll be very aware has a contested past, a very troubled, a very difficult history in lots of ways, but it's also a history that is full of surprises and opportunities, many of them not taken, some of them taken, and extremely curious in the consequences they resulted in. Now, if that's not what you really want to do, you might be coming into the MA History with a passion, for example, for ancient history or for American history or for some other topic that's not relevant to the city of Belfast. In that case, we would encourage you to take the module called Individually Negotiated Topic. Individually Negotiated Topic is a module that allows you to study virtually anything you want. And over the course of the autumn, you'll meet with a supervisor for one-to-one meetings or sometimes one-to-two meetings. Over 5 or 6 occasions, you'll be sitting down with someone working on an extended essay on a topic that you have decided upon, that you're passionate about, and that you really want to find out more about. And the individually negotiated topic allows you to begin to tailor the MA History at Queen's to match exactly what your own interests might be. So that's the autumn semester. You'll be no doubt exploring the city, socialising, visiting sites of interest, historical. No doubt you'll be looking at the North Coast, seeing some of our amazing seascapes and landscapes, maybe doing Game of Thrones tours. There's loads of stuff going on, but that's the autumn. Andrea, we'll move to the spring. Mm-hmm. So the spring semester, after the Christmas or winter holiday, there's one core module presenting sources. One of the things you must do as an historian is learn how professionally to talk about sources and how to represent them. And that module is, again, equipping you with key skills that you'll be able to take into your career, whether it's as an academic, a museum person, or as someone just with a writing about journalism or teaching or some other career that will help you think professionally about how to be an historian. And then in semester 2, we've a raft of optional modules. So remember, by this stage, you've really thought hard about the key skills that an historian needs to acquire. And you've begun to focus maybe on your more particular area of research interest. But now in the spring, you can really begin to open up some of those interests that you have. We have modules including topics in Irish history, creative approaches to history, telling stories, that module is called. We've got a module on major themes in US history. And we've got a long, chronologically expansive module that stretches from antiquity to the early modern period. It's called Culture and Society. From year to year, it takes on a different core theme. This year, the core theme is the city of Rome, and we're looking at the city of Rome and its various representations from antiquity right the way through to the 16th, 17th, even into the early 18th century. So that's a really interesting module that if you like big picture history, you would really, really enjoy. And the final option that you might be able to choose in semester 2, subject to availability, and Alwyn might speak more about this later on, is the public history internship. And there we're borrowing something from the MA in public history if there is availability for it. And that's an opportunity for you as an MA history student to take up a work placement opportunity in a museum, an archive, a gallery, a TV documentary production company, and in other forms of media. Lots and lots of opportunities, subject to availability, that Alwyn will speak about in just a moment. Thank you, Andrea. Could we go to the next slide? Mm-hmm. So the third thing that you do after your autumn, which really gives you lots of key skills, and your spring semester, which allows you to develop some maybe more personal interests in history, the third thing you do is to complete your dissertation. Now, your dissertation is your capstone project of your MA in history. It's about 20,000 words in length. That's a very serious piece of work. You choose your dissertation topic around about January, February. That's finalised by the beginning of March. And then as you're completing your semester 2 work, you're also thinking about your dissertation topic, maybe beginning to read around the topic, maybe beginning to meet with your supervisor of your dissertation, who you'll meet 5 or 6 times, I guess, over the late spring and summer months. And you're beginning to think about the dissertation you want to write. And this is exactly on a topic of your interest. And it can be on virtually any topic in any of the fields of history that we include or that we represent among our colleagues. It's a big project. It's a really challenging project, but it's a project that students often do really, really well. We'll support you. We're conscious that probably most of you haven't written anything at this length before, so we'll support you to that. We'll guide you. It's a well-honed pathway, and you can be confident that not only are you working with a supervisor who understands your topic and wants to understand your approach to your topic, you're also working with a supervisor and in a school environment that really knows how to take people with perhaps very little experience of writing at length and to make them very successful at writing at length. Thank you, Andrea. The next slide, perhaps. Career prospects. Well, I've mentioned some of these before. What do you do with an MA in history? Anything is the answer. You're going to come to Queen's to do an MA, not to become one thing, but to open up many opportunities. You'll see there in the slide a picture of our graduate school, the lovely chapel-like building that I mentioned to you before on the slide that pictured the campus location where you'll be working. And there's an example of students in, talking, networking, meeting people, and those are the kinds of things that you're going to do that will help you create career opportunities, career prospects at the end of your degree. If you do the internship, or even if you don't, you can pick up work in local museums. There are many award-winning museums. Belfast is home to the Titanic Museum, for example, which is one of the world's most highly decorated, I suppose, museums. You can pick up work in archives and libraries. Journalism, I mentioned, media-related work, I mentioned. There are a good number of TV production companies in the immediate vicinity of campus. Many of our students are teachers or want to go into teaching and find that the master's degree in history really equips them either to move from, let's say, geography or English literature into the field of history, or to really consolidate and deepen their knowledge of history they've already acquired in their undergraduate studies. Traditionally, lots of graduates in arts and humanities in Northern Ireland go into public administration. They can have very successful, very interesting, very rewarding careers. One of my former students is now in public administration in Alaska and loving it. You can also work in the voluntary sector. Many of our students, of course, are undertaking MA in history because they want to move on to a PhD. We'll talk to you perhaps a little bit later about some of the reasons why Queen's is one of the best places in these islands to do a PhD. We've got a really outstanding track record of success, lots of student success we love to tell people about. And the stepping stone to the PhD, you will find that the MA has prepared you to move from your undergraduate into your doctoral studies. But you will also find, as this slide indicates, that the MA in history is a brilliant endpoint for your academic career as well. It's situated nicely between your BA and your PhD. It can be the conclusion of your undergraduate study, or it can be the beginning of your doctoral and ultimately academic career. The point is, it's your decision. You can choose. You come to Queen's, we'll do our utmost to give you everything we know and to communicate our knowledge and our passion about the subject. But we want to empower you to make the kinds of decisions only you can make about your future. Thanks, Andrea. So who's going to be teaching you? We've got 34 members of staff. We've got 14 women. Strengths include Irish history, history of the American South, gender history, religion, ancient and medieval, public history. We've got a Centre for Public History. No doubt all of them will speak about that a little bit later on. If you're interested in religion, which is my field, you'll be interested to know perhaps that Queen's has the largest number of religious historians outside of Oxford and Cambridge that I'm aware of in the UK or Ireland. So it's a great place for lots and lots of subjects. Thank you, Andrea. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pass it now to...
Andrea, were you going to say something?
Yes, sorry, I was just going to introduce you, but Crawford's done it, so it worked well.
Okay, thanks. You. Well, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us, and thanks Crawford for that great introduction to the MA in history. So I'm here to talk about the MA in public history, and we share a lot with the MA in history, as you'll see as we go through the slides. So I am Professor Alma Purdue. I have a background as a historian in social history. I've written about landed estates in Ulster. I've written about the workhouse and emigration of pauper children. So quite an expansive range of topics there in terms of my role as a historian, but increasingly interested in public history and the role that public history plays in society. As Crawford said, I've just been elected president of the International Federation for Public History, and I'm also series editor for Routledge's Global Approaches to Public History series. So really getting into public history as my field. There's a range of us teaching on the MA. There's myself, I'm the course director, and I will teach you for at least one of your classes as you take this. Other colleagues have backgrounds in museums or other aspects of public history, as well as strong academic interests as well. So you're being taught by a wide range of people on the team, both academics and practitioners as well. We have a very strong relationship with the public history sector in Northern Ireland and indeed internationally, and we really benefit from that in terms of our teaching. Next slide there, Andrea, please. So just to give you a bit of a feel for the MA and what it's about and what public history is about for those of you who maybe aren't so sure. It's, I suppose, one of the things that we think about public history being is really history in practice. It's history in the world. How does history work? How is it put to work in the public sphere? And one of the ways we think about this is how do we communicate the past to a whole range of public audiences? How do we get people interested in history? Or how do we share what we know? And that's one way of seeing it. And we look at the way in which a whole different range of organizations or institutions do this. Museums, archives, digital sources, video games. There's been a lot of work recently on how video games are a great way of engaging people and exploring the past. So there's lots of different ways in which we get people interested in the past and in learning about the past and exploring it. But also, and maybe more importantly, public history is about who gets to control the narratives about the past. Whose history is it? And who's telling that history? So we're increasingly interested in how we can engage public audiences and different types of people in actually telling their stories and communicating their past. And we ask questions like, well, what do museums do in that space? What responsibility have they there socially for making sure that everybody's included? Should everybody be included? What happens if there are historical narratives that people disagree with or that are contested? So lots of questions about how history is put to use. Next slide, Andrea. And of course, being based in Northern Ireland, one of our real strengths is the ability to explore how public history works in divided societies. And as I mentioned, Northern Ireland has a history of conflict. It's a post-conflict society, and we're experiencing some of the positives and the negatives of that. But it creates a very safe and interesting environment in which you can really explore how public history works in that context. And as we know only too well, Northern Ireland's not the only divided society. There are many, many contexts around the world where the articulation of history and historical narratives is contested. And so what you get when you come to Queen's is a really deep understanding of those issues and the roles that cultural institutions play, and the power, where power lies in terms of who owns the past, and how we ensure that marginalised voices are included in historical narratives. So those are all things that as you go through your year, you will explore in practical terms, but also will be exploring a lot of the theory of that as well, and very much taught by people who are experts in that field. Thanks, Andrea. So just as Crawford did, to talk you through what it looks like, and as I said earlier, the year mirrors the history MA. So if you're not sure what the timings are like, go back to the slide Crawford showed you earlier. The MA in public history is exactly the same. We share 2 modules or classes or courses with the MA in history. One is the historian's craft. Because we believe that in order to be a good public historian, you have to be a good historian. So we train you up in the skills and the practice of being a historian and historical research and practice. You then also get the optional module that was mentioned before, either Belfast, Place, Identity and Memory, or the individually negotiated topic, which can be in an area of whatever you're interested in. It can be something to do with public history, or it could be nothing to do with public history. It's entirely up to you. The third module you will take in your first semester is the core module. It's for all the MA in public history students, and it's only for the MA in public history students. This year we've got 23, I think, students on our course. So it's a big number. We've had to get bigger rooms. But those are an opportunity to really dig down into some of the issues I've talked about, how we communicate the past to public audiences and what are the challenges around that, what are the opportunities. So each week you're taught by a different specialist. It might be an academic from within the school or a different school, or it might be somebody that we partner with from the public history sector. So just to give you a bit of a feel, I mean, this year we've had people talking about oral history, about museums. We work very closely with a media company, and we have somebody from a TV production company coming in every year to talk about history on film and history on TV. And video games as well, as I mentioned earlier. There's always a bit of a focus on that. So each week, somebody different. They will talk for a while about their work, their perspectives, and then it's open to discussion. So we really love to hear from you. And I'm sure, as Lily will attest, there's always plenty of discussion. I don't know what it is about public historians, but boy, do they talk. So classes are always interesting. And then on to the second semester, the spring semester. Here you have one optional module. You can choose from telling stories, major themes in US history, or culture and society from antiquity to the early modern period. And Crawford's explained those two, the second and third modules on the slide. The first one, telling stories, is this year, most of the students on that module are the public history cohort. They nearly all take that one because it is very relevant to public history. And what we do in that module is really look at how we think about history, how we build those historical narratives, how we find out about the past, and different approaches to that. So this year, one of the things that we're looking at is migration histories, collecting the stories of migrant communities and working with them then to share their histories to others. We're looking at family history and the relationship between our own histories as individuals and families, and then our role as a professional historian, and looking at the interesting intersection between those two areas, which is really fascinating. And some of our colleagues have really, really interesting stories to tell about their own exploration of their family history and how they position themselves and feel about that. So absolutely fascinating. And then also looking at things like museums, archives, and their role in sharing narratives about the past. So lots of really interesting areas to explore there. The main thing you will be doing in your second, in the second semester, however, is your internship. For those of you taking the MA in Public History, this is a double-weighted module, so it is worth 2 modules in terms of the time you spend on it and the weight of your assignment. As Crawford mentioned, there are some single-weighted modules, so 14-day internships, a very small number, I'm afraid, at the minute, open to students on the MA in History. But if you're on the MA in Public History, you get a 30-day internship, and it's guaranteed. The internships, if you go to the next slide now, as I say, they last for 30 days. Oops, I'll come back to the internships later. Okay. Once we'll go back, we'll talk about the dissertation, and then we'll focus in. Let's go back. Yeah. So once you've finished your second semester and you've worked on your internship and your assignments and that's out of the way, then exactly like the MA in History, you will have your 20,000 word research dissertation. Your dissertation, you will be in a class with the MA in History students, so you're all doing it together. You can choose supervisors from across the history departments. And as Crawford said earlier, we have a vast range of expertise in all areas, and you are free to choose whatever topic you want, and as long as there's somebody that has the specialism to supervise you in it. It can have a strong public history focus, and a lot of our dissertations do. But likewise, it can have a very small element of public history in it. And in fact, we have had students on the MA in Public History that have written a dissertation that's just straight history with no reference to public history at all. And that's absolutely fine. It's entirely up to you and what you're really interested in. But we do find, on the whole, that having spent a year thinking about and talking to people and working in this public history space, most students come to the dissertation with some burning questions that they really want to explore further. So moving on then, we'll talk a little bit more about that internship. It lasts generally from January through to March, sometimes into April, and sometimes people don't really want to stop and they just keep going, and that's fine. It is generally 30 days, and we can be quite flexible in terms of how those 30 days are arranged. Some people like to get it all done at once, so they do 5 days a week. Other people rather prefer to spread things out. We're very flexible about that. And in terms of organising your internship, in the autumn semester, you'll be presented with a whole range of options. We have a really wide range of options that include things, as we'll see shortly, television, museums, archives, small local museums, big national museums, working with community organisations. So whatever you're really interested in, we encourage you to think about that. And you will work with us to find the right fit for you. We give you an opportunity to hear about the options. You pick your top 3, and then we sit down with you and work out which one we think would work best. So you get a lot of choice, but you also get support in finding the right internship for you. And the internship is it's thinking about how it's actually assessed. Importantly, what we assess is the work you did during your internship, but also how you reflect on that. So we ask you to produce a portfolio And the portfolio really shows what you've done. It could be an exhibition, it could be some digital work. Whatever it is that you're doing, find some way to reflect that in your portfolio, and then write about it reflectively. What did this tell you about public history, about this particular type of public history? What were the challenges? How would you do it differently? How did it sit with some of the theories we've been thinking about? So it's an opportunity to really expand on your thinking about your time during your internship. Okay, next slide. Some of the opportunities we've had in the past. Here they are. Now, this is just some, and they change every year because it depends on availability, but it gives you a feel for the spread of opportunities that there are. Lots of different museums, libraries and archives. We have a great relationship. Northern Ireland, as many of you will know, has got a very strong film industry. So we have the opportunity to explore the relationship between history and film. Heritage as well. There's lots of heritage here and lots of opportunity to work in that space. And then working with community groups as well. And we do have a number of oral history projects on the go and digital public history projects. So students really do get a wide choice in terms of where they work. Next slide. And one of the things we like about the MA in Public History is the other assignment you have for your internship module is a poster presentation. And we just ask you simply to produce an A1 or A0 poster about your internship. And then in May or June, we take over one of the really nice buildings in Queens. This is another view of the graduate school. We've also used the Great Hall. And we display your posters and we invite fellow students, your friends, your family, academics, and importantly, the people who hosted you during the internship. And they all come along. There's a drinks reception and just an opportunity for you to display and talk about the fantastic work that you did during your internship. It's a lovely way to round off the year and everybody really enjoys it. A nice way to set off into the summer. As Crawford mentioned earlier, and we'll move on now, as a student on the MA in Public History, you are also a member of the Centre for Public History. And that is a very active, very lively research centre based in the School of History, Anthropology, Philosophy and Politics. We have a series of seminars. There's history seminars on every aspect of history are every Friday at 4 p.m. and they're open to everybody. But the last Friday of the month, we generally take it over and we have a public history seminar. And this Friday, interestingly, one of the people that's coming to speak about their work is a former student from the MA in Public History who graduated 2 years ago and is now running a really incredible museum and public engagement project in Belfast. So it just shows you where you go with an MA in Public History. We also run masterclasses throughout the year. We have a lot of visiting speakers, a lot of visiting guests. They include Dr. Lonnie Bunch, who is still the Secretary of the Smithsonian, and we have other partners from across the world, from as far as India, Iran, Australia, Canada, and everywhere else as well. And when they come to Queen's, the first thing we do is agree with them that they'll spend some time with our students. So it's a wonderful informal opportunity to meet with them for masterclasses. And we have our annual Public History Conference, and this is always a big event, generally in September and October. Lily will be speaking to you shortly, and the first time I met Lily, I think had literally just arrived in Belfast from the US, and she was there at the conference every day, which I was really impressed about Lily. But it's a great opportunity to just hear from academics and practitioners from around the world and the great work they're doing. Our conference this year will include speakers from the 9/11 Museum, the US Holocaust Memorial Museum, and the Smithsonian, as well as academics from around the world. So it's a great place to be. You're part of a great research community, and you've certainly got plenty to keep you busy while you're here. Now, let's see, what's the last slide? I think. Yeah, career prospects. As Crawford mentioned earlier, with an MA in History and an MA in Public History, you can really be anything. The Public Record Office of Northern Ireland is our big national archive. And they have employed somebody from the MA in Public History every year for the last 6 years. So there's now an entire community of MA and Public History students in the Public Record Office. I think they have their own group and they go off and socialise everything together. Museums as well. We have students working in a number of museums in the US, in Canada, and here in Northern Ireland and in London. Heritage, a lot of our students end up working in heritage organisations. Likewise, the community and voluntary sector, media, teaching, and as Crawford mentioned earlier, PhD, and a number of our students every year go on to do a PhD. Some people come out of the MA in Public History and go off and work in the sector for a year or two, but quite often then come back and think, I want to take my academic side of this a bit further. I want to go on and do a PhD. And often their experience in the public history sector, working whether on their internship or after they graduate, actually gives them that sense of what it is that they really want to study and take forward for a PhD. So the world is your oyster once you graduate. And I think that's us. Am I right?
Thank you, Evan. That's brilliant. Thank you. So if you're interested in any of these courses, the entry criteria for the MA History is normally a strong 2-2 honours degree or equivalent qualification acceptable to the university in an arts and humanities discipline. Applicants with the social science honours degrees will be considered on a case-by-case basis. Applicants who hold below 2-2 honours in an arts and humanities discipline or relevant other discipline who can demonstrate relevant professional experience will be considered on a case-by-case basis. And this goes towards the MA Public History as well. Although the MA Public History is normally a strong 2-2 honours degree with a minimum of 55%, or acceptable or qualification acceptable to the university in humanities or arts subject. Okay, so international applicants, in relation to your English language requirements, we would require evidence of an IELTS score of 6.5 with not less than 5.5 in any component, or an equivalent qualification acceptable to the university is required, and this must be taken within the last 2 years. We are open to other English language requirements, so if you want to check that out online, there's a full list of what we will accept. So although there is domestic and international students here on the webinar, this slide is, I suppose, specifically for the international students that are maybe not too sure where Belfast in Northern Ireland is located. So Belfast is the capital city of Northern Ireland. We are geographically on the island of Ireland, although politically and economically part of the UK. Okay, so you can jump on a plane there and get to London within 1 hour, 50 minutes or so. So we're 90 minutes from Dublin. Belfast is a 1 hour flight from London, as I said, and the Northern Ireland population is around about 1.8 million, with the Greater Belfast population about 650,000. So in regards to Queen's University, we're Russell Groups, which means we're research intensive. So we're one of 24 Russell Groups in the UK. So we're in line, and other Russell Groups would be the Oxfords and the Cambridge. So we are pretty prestigious in that way. And we're the UK's 9th oldest university, established in 1845. So we just celebrated our 180th birthday there last year. In regards to the School of HAP, some rankings that you might be interested in is that 100% of the School of HAP has been deemed internationally excellent and been awarded 100% in this area. So you're really being taught by the elite academics in that area. So Belfast has been featured in the National Geographic Top 30 Most Exciting Destinations to Visit in the World in 2024. We're also considered the UK's most affordable student city as well, which means your money will go further in terms of the everyday essentials, the transport, the groceries and things like that. In terms of the fees and funding, the fees for Northern Ireland student are about 7,700. Republic of Ireland would be the same. English, Scotland and Wales would be 10,400, and EU and other international students are 23,000. On the right-hand side, there is a QR code for the postgrad study loans for Northern Ireland students only. And this goes up to about £6,500. So in regards to international scholarships, we have the international scholarship of £4,000 that will be automatically deducted off your balance. There's no need to apply for that. This will automatically happen with the admissions team. If you're in a place, or I suppose a position to pay all your fees by a certain stage by the end of August, you will get £1,500 off your total B bill. In order to apply, there is a link there. You just follow the link, register, and upload all your transcripts and your certificate and your English language certificates and things like that. But we'll also be able to keep in contact with you in regards to the updates of the programme, when to apply, accommodation, deadlines and things like that. There is no fee for applying, so you can apply to as many courses or as many universities as possible. We just ask that you apply soon and early. In terms of accommodation, international students are guaranteed accommodation up to the 30th of June if they apply before that date and they have been offered a place on the course. For more information on the School of HAP, there's the general social media handles there, so you can go on and add them as a friend or click and things like that, so you'll be kept up to date with the most up-to-date information that there is. And if you have any general inquiries for us here in the AHSS Recruitment Hub, if you want to just email us, it's askahss@qub.ac.uk. Okay, so now we have time for questions, but I think we'll maybe ask Lily if she wanted to come forward and speak about the course and her experience as an international student so far coming across from the US. Lily, thanks for joining us today. I suppose I'd like to start off on asking you a question in regards to why did you decide Queen's and why did you decide on your MA Public History course?
Yeah, so I decided on Queen's specifically for the public history course. I was interested in public history, and I found that some of the courses in America maybe weren't as internationally focused as I was hoping for, or as academically rigorous. I was really interested in the placement, which I'm currently on. That was a huge factor in determining Queen's. That was really important to me to get that hands-on experience. And also, Queen's has really great international student support compared to some of the other universities I was looking at. I was just really impressed by the outreach and the resources.
And can I ask, are you staying in Queen's accommodation?
Yes, I am. And sorry it's so dark. It's that famous Belfast weather today.
And what's your thoughts on the accommodation? Whereabouts are you staying? And what does it all involve?
I am staying in Willow Walk, which is specifically for postgraduate students as well as families. So students who are studying and have their family here with them. It's very lovely. It's a little bit more outside of the city, more in the suburbs. It's very quiet here, which is good. That's what I wanted. But it was very easy to apply for housing. I did it online before the end of June, like you said. And I very quickly got my place, and it was all everything is all included in the contract and the fee that they give you. So it makes it super easy.
In terms of maybe the student experience and maybe the residential team and the events and things like that that happen in the evening and afternoon, what happens? What's that like for a student?
Oh my gosh, there's so much happening at any one time. Living in the residence, we have tunes and toasties on Tuesdays. There's always music and grilled cheese. I do yoga on Wednesdays. There's breakfast sometimes. They do trips on the weekends as well. So lots of opportunities to mingle. And
can I ask, any clubs and societies for yourself? Or or extracurriculum activities?
Yeah, I'm on the Queen's volleyball team, which is really exciting for me. I haven't played in a long time, so it's good to get back to it. I do a lot with Queen's Yoga as well. Um, there's Philosophy Society as well, that I'm involved with, so lots of opportunities.
Mhm. And what was your expectation before you came to Belfast to study at Queen's? What was that, and did it reach your expectations? And what was the challenges in between?
I will say I was expecting some academic rigor. I knew what I was getting myself into. And it has been a little challenging, especially coming from a US based system. But what I really enjoy about the course, and the style of Queens overall is it's a lot of self-driven learning, which is not really something I've had the opportunity to experience before. I get to do a lot of reading around my interests, do essays around my interests, and it's really freeing, although it is challenging.
And how did you find your application journey from you initially applied online to you actually landed here in Belfast? How was that process? How did Queen's communicate with you on a regular basis, keep you up to date with things? What way did that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I applied pretty early. I think I applied around December, and I think by January I had an answer. So that was really nice for me, to be able to organize myself. But every step of the way, there was a contact for something, whether it was visa, whether it was student accommodation, whether it was registering for classes, or matriculation. Big tip for international students, especially American students, don't frame your diploma. You have to bring your actual college diploma with you in person and show them and prove. So if it's framed, carefully take that out. You got to bring that with you. That's my big tip.
Okay, and how are you adapting to the weather and the food?
Oh,
A lot of
food is
students
great.
want to
I don't
know.
know where that lie comes from. Food is great. Everything, again, I can only echo, really affordable as a student. Um, Weather does take some adjustment. I'm from Pittsburgh though, so I'm used to gray and cloudy. But the rain, get yourself a nice rain jacket, get yourself some rain boots, you'll be fine. It's just some water.
Very good. And can I ask, have you used the graduate school at all yet?
Oh yes, love the graduate school. It's such a lovely space away from the busyness of campus sometimes. I've used the graduate study rooms, which are really nice. There's a really big silent study area, which is never really full unless it's finals or midterms, but really lovely space to use and lots of really great events and workshops as well.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe we'll open it up to the audience. If you want any information in regards to being a student here at Queen's studying the MA Public History, please just put your questions in the chat box and Lily will kindly answer them. Maybe in the meantime, Lily, you can say who you think this course is best suited for.
Yeah, I mean,
Or what did you want to get out of it even, personally?
I'm really impressed by my course, by just the range of people we have in terms of students, where they come from, a lot of international, a lot of background in museums already. They bring an interesting perspective to the course. Some students that are straight from undergrad, some students that took a lot of time off and had different types of careers. So it's very enriching in that way. I wasn't really expecting that, but it's been very nice. Like Owen said, there's a lot of discussion in public history, and it really enriches those discussions.
Lily, this might be a question for you from Holly. For the personal statement element of the application process, is there anything specific I should be including within this? Just an overview of why I would like to do the course.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think personal statements can sometimes be really intimidating, especially when there's not much guidance. It's just give your personal statement. But I think your reasons for wanting to pursue the course is very important. any questions that you're interested in. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific topic. I think like Crawford was saying, like if you have any questions or interests that relate to public history that you just really want to investigate, I think that's the most important.
Does Alan or Crawford want to add anything in terms of that, or in terms of what you would like to see in a personal statement, or any advice?
I think really just what Lily said is, why are you interested in this? Why are you interested in public history or history? Why Queen's? What can Queen's give you, and what can you bring to the course as well? Any experience you have, or any real pressing interests that you have, we're really keen to hear about those.
Yeah, and I think just be yourself is important too. So the next question is, are the optional modules for both courses likely to remain the same for the next academic year?
Andrea, I've actually answered that in the chat.
Oh, sorry, have you?
So
there you go underneath, yes.
Yeah, no worries. So what I said to Billy when Billy asked that question, we're always trying to think about what we do. We're always trying to think about improvements and so on. But the module structure tends to stay the same. Within the module structure, there's always new ideas coming through. So, for example, I mentioned earlier on the big chronological suite module that goes from antiquity to early modernity. This year, we're doing the city of Rome. Last year, we did the idea of toleration. So we take a different theme and we try and keep it fresh. But the module structure looks the same.
Another one for you too?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking when Crawford was talking there, the telling stories module, for example. So last year, quite a lot of the focus was on the relationship between fiction and history. And how we manage that relationship. Whereas this year, because there's different people are teaching on it, and we've moved more to looking at different aspects of telling stories. So sometimes it depends on the teaching team and their particular interests, or sometimes it's actually led by student feedback who say, we would like a little bit more of this, so we respond to that as well.
Good job. And you're right to ask that question, because every year things do change, especially the fees can change. So although we present these fees and these scholarship at this time, it's sometimes every year that can change. So it's good to keep that in mind. So thank you for that question. So I know we've just a few minutes left at this webinar, and I was just wondering if anyone, any final questions? Oh, there's one just popped up. Oh, Eastern European history or military history. And are there any Russian language courses and resources? Yes, I must look about that. Yeah, I'll put that in.
I don't see the Russian question there, Andrea. We do have a colleague, Alex Titov, who works in Russian history. Certainly, students will be able to do their independent negotiated topic with it, and could really have a lot of fun there. Fiona's asking about Eastern European history or military history. Might be interested, Fiona, to know that the idea of the military revolution was developed in this very history department by Michael Roberts back in the 1970s. So we have a long-standing interest in that area. You would be able to do your individually negotiated topic, your INT, in first semester on those kinds of topics. It would depend upon, I suppose, which particular chronological period you're interested in. And as Andrea says, there's a full raft of language courses there at the Language Centre, which are available to students for about, is it £10 or £20 each? Like it's next to nothing. Those Language Centre courses can take you to a really quite an advanced level of linguistic skill quite quickly.
Thank you, Crawford. Anyone else got any questions for academics or professors or Lily, the course ambassador, before we finish up? I have placed a few links, a little table at the earlier stage in the chat. You can click on them when you have a wee bit more time. It takes you through how to apply. You can reach out to the course professors directly in regards to a wee bit more information about the course after this webinar. There's a link there about the international scholarships. There's international students in regard requirements, particularly from your country. You can click on that link. If you have any queries in regards to your academic qualifications, maybe you have a different English language qualification, you want to get it checked out, there's the international admissions team there that will help you out and be able to advise you on that. There's a link there in regards to the student experience, what's it like after class, the events, and things like that that are on campus, because that's a big part of your experience as well. You know, you're coming for a course, you're coming for an education, but you also want time to unwind and have fun and enjoy yourself. I have a link there in regards to the Macleay Library. This has been voted one of the best libraries in Europe across 5 levels. So we have any amount of books and journals to choose from, especially a big, rich history department. The graduate school there, you can click on it and see what all it has to offer. It's the intellectual hub of the university as well. Accommodation. Accommodation starts between £89 and £115 per week. As Lily said, that is all inclusive. That's your electricity, your heat, your light, your entertainment. You have a residential team there, always planning activities and day trips and things like that. But also a 24/7 security team as well. Lily has mentioned she's at Willow Walk, which is about a 10-minute walk from campus. That's right beside BT9. So if you do check out the accommodation link, you'll be able to see some pictures in regards to all the different options. There's about 4,000 rooms across 9 locations in Belfast. So you can decide which is within your price bracket and which suits you best. So there's the clubs and societies. So we have over 240 clubs and societies to choose from. There's an opportunity to apply for a Future Ready Award, which is an extra certificate on your graduation day. And it shows employers that you went over and above your degree in terms of building skills and professional development. So that's highly thought of. Our student union there's lots within the One Elmwood building. We're actually voted the #1 student union in the UK. So we're very, very happy about that. We have lots on offer, and it was a new build. About £30 million was invested in this building a number of years ago. It was opened in 2022, I believe. I've also included a cost of living link as well, because students, you know, they're paying a lot of money going to university and they want to save as much as possible. So that link there will provide you information on how to do that. We also have a pantry inside the Students' Union. I don't know if you've used it before, Lily, have you? No. Okay, well, the pantry opens for a number of hours every week, and you can go in and access dried foods like cereal, rice, pasta, free of charge. So the university provide this for the students. So you can go in with your little container and get topped up because Queen's believe in supporting their students very well, and this is one of the ways they do it. And as I said, if you have any general queries in regards to applying to Queen's and anything like that, please reach out to or ask AHSS email address, and we will be able to provide information to you individually. But if no one has any more questions, I think we can leave it there for today's webinar.
Thanks very much, everybody. And do get in touch if you have any questions.
Thank you, Alwyn. Thank you, Crawford. And thank you, Lily.